On the news, President Tinubu transmits to Senate list of ambassadorial nominees. House of Representatives calls for urgent procurement of security equipment to enable Nigeria Police Force respond swiftly to security threats across the country. Plus, 2027 general election, Rivers Assembly passes vote of confidence on President Tinubu. Good evening and welcome to NTA Parliamentary News. I am Amina Saidu. Reports reaching us from the Nigerian Red Chamber indicates that President Bola Tinubu has transmitted to the Senate two lists of 34 career and 31 non-career ambassador nominees for screening and confirmation. Prominent names listed as non-career ambassadors include Reno Omokri, Femi Fani Kayode, General Abdurrahman Dambazo, Victor Ipeazu, and Ifeanyi Ugwuanyi. Also listed as non-career ambassador nominees are Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, Vice Admiral Ete Bass, Senator Jimo Ibrahim, Senator Nora Dadut, Fatima Ajimobi, and Senator Ita Inang, among others. The two lists brings to 68 number of persons nominated so far as ambassadors awaiting confirmation by the Senate. Meanwhile, Senate has passed for second reading the Banks and Other Financial Institution Act Amendment Bill with provisions to regulate online financial transactions in Nigeria. Moving to the Green Chamber to expedite implementation of the nationwide security emergency declared by President Tinubu, the House of Representatives has called for urgent procurement of security equipment to enable the Nigeria Police Force respond swiftly and effectively to security threats across the country. Adopting a motion of urgent national importance by Representative Victor Obuzo, the House urged the Ministry of Finance and Office of the Accountant General of the Federation to eliminate all procurement bottlenecks that could hinder the operational effectiveness of the Nigerian police in the discharge of its duties. Lawmakers also mandated the Nigeria Police Trust Fund to furnish Parliament with a comprehensive procurement plan towards the upgrade and deployment of critical equipment to police formations nationwide.
Accelerate all procurement processes under the NPTF, including tenders, vendors evaluation, contract awards, and procurement of vehicles, surveillance and communication equipment, protective gear, operational supplies, and other essential logistics to ensure immediate deployment to police commands across the country. 2, prioritize distribution of equipment and logistics assets to high-risk and conflict-prone zones identified in the Security Emergency Declaration.
In the same vein, National Assembly correspondent Mitari reports that the House kicked against the removal of computer science and other foundational subjects from the revised secondary school curriculum, asking the Federal Ministry of Education to rescind the decision.
It is worrisome that at a time when the world is going digital, especially in the educational sector, and Nigeria is trying to catch up, that you remove a fundamental subject like computer science. Most of our examination bodies are adopting the CBT model for the conduct of their examination. How will such students learn the basis? Students in SS3 have been diligently studying this removed subject, data processing, computer studies, civic education, etc. from SS1.
Mr. Speaker, removing computer science at this jet age from our school curriculum, I don't think it makes sense when today the higher institutions are now introducing more courses like mechatronics, robotics, and other subjects, even geoinformatics.
Following the approval granted to the federal universities to recruit more staff, the House of Representatives is reminding the heads of the institutions to ensure federal character principle is strictly followed. This re-echoed during the visit of the Committee on University Education to Ahmadu Bello University, Zaria, and others in the Northwest Zone. National Assembly correspondent Muhammad Rabiu Ali reports.
Another day of oversight. ABU Zaria was the first port of call in the Northwest. Violation of the revenue streams to the Federation account especially 25% fiscal responsibility remittance generated debate.
Can we have an idea of how many students that you had for the year 2024 that generated this amount?
What we receive here is just the portion of the share of the university.
You are the most representative, and I want to commend you for that, for this tolerance, for ability to recruit from all over the world, not even Nigeria, from all over the world. The other issue that I would like to, which you are not compliant this time around, is the issue of the IGR.
You have added to our documents and the very, very thoughtful comments that you have made to help us to do well.
The committee also expressed reservations over documents presented by the management of Bayero University, Kano.
Let me start with 2023. That welfare packages is spent 281 million, according to your document. Welfare. You can't tell me that you don't have financial challenge. Everybody has financial challenge. Why can't you spend according to your work plan, according to your budget, that you are leaving some money, ignoring other budget lines or other budget lines to suffer unnecessarily?
I do believe that this ultimately wouldn't be a thorough representation of what comes in as IGR.
Total of over 6 billion unspent fund. We actually don't rush in spending the money because our session is running off is terminating in March. And usually we have huge expenditure at the end of session. I believe by March you will see this unspent balance will drastically go down.
The oversight also took members to the newly established federal universities of education in Zaria and Kano. Pioneer vice-chancellors were advised to follow due process in recruitment and managing the internally generated revenues. For the Federal University of Applied Sciences, Kachia, and that of Division of Agricultural Sciences, Zaria, were asked to stay action and resubmit their records within 1 week. Muhammad Rabiu Ali, NTA News.
Earlier this week, the maiden edition of the African Legislative AIDS Conference 2025 was held and anchored by the Nigerian National Assembly Legislative AIDS Forum, NASLAF. During the 3-day capacity building aimed at enhancing legislative and support legislators achieve their goals within the African continent, the empowerment of legislative aides as strategic drivers of parliamentary effectiveness in African nation was in focus. Joining us to further discuss the theme, objectives and mission of the 2025 African Legislative Aids Association's maiden conference, recently held in Abuja, the capital city of Nigeria, is the president of the association who doubles as chairman, Nigerian National Assembly Legislative AIDS Forum, Emeka Nwala. He is also a legal practitioner. Congratulations on your emergence as the president of the Noble Association.
Yeah, thank you.
Sir, what inspired the creation of the African Legislative AIDS Association, and what do you hope to achieve?
The creation of African Legislative AIDS, because all the legislative aids across the parliament, they have their forum. So we created it for us to be united and speak in one voice in Africa, to have that synergy, to have that bond, to share ideas and know how other legislative aids are being fed across their different parliaments. So we decided to have it as a central body governing all the parliaments in Africa.
How do you see this association impacting legislative processes and good governance across the continent?
You know, legislative aids are the support base of legislators. We have been doing enough. We have been doing all we can to support them in the means of drafting of bills, drafting of motions, speech writing. We are the backbone of the legislators in legislative activities. So we are intend to share ideas across African Parliament.
The theme of the maiden conference centered on empowering legislative aides as strategic drivers of parliamentary effectiveness in Africa. Why the choice of this topic?
The purpose of coming together is to unite and share ideas, to know how other legislative aids are being taken care of. Because for you to do a good job, it is pertinent that you are empowered. You can see many legislative aids across Africa with what we got. Some are not well packaged. Many of them are not taking good salaries. So you can't do a good job when you are not fully empowered. So we are going to encourage the legislators across the continent to look into empowering the legislative aides so that they will give their best in their various fields of work. That is very important. If they are not taken good care of, you won't get the result. Because the most important is the result base. And the result base is good empowerment. So that is the bottom line of it. We are going to ensure that all legislative aids across African parliaments are taken good care of, so that they will support their various legislators and improve in what they are in the work they are doing.
Thank you for these clarifications and thank you for your time.
Yes, thank you. My pleasure.
The Rivers State House of Assembly has passed a vote of confidence on President Bola Tinubu, urging him to seek re-election in 2027. Details of this and other stories after the break as parliamentary news continues shortly. Stay with us.
Are you looking for a short channel to make your business, goods and services go viral? Look no further, as NTA Parliament is your short channel. Take advantage of our wider reach and advertise your products and services on NTA Parliament DSTV channel 370, GoTV channel 126, StarTimes channel 306, and Free TV channel 706. For more inquiries, contact the Marketing Department, NTA Parliament, NTA Headquarters Area 11 Garki Abuja, or call these numbers 080-383-40464 or 080-770-78055. NTA Parliament, strengthening Nigeria's democracy.
Thank you for staying with us. If you're just joining us, this is Parliamentary News reaching you from NTA Parliament, Abuja. You can follow the platforms on the screen for more updates. Moving on, Nigeria's First Lady Oluremi Tinubu has renewed the vigor for increased women's participation in governance, calling on West African leaders to break those barriers that are hindrances to women in political leadership. She stated her position in a message to the Economic Community of Female Parliamentarians, ECOFEPA, Forum and celebration of the 25th anniversary of the ECOWAS Parliament in Abuja. Mohammed Rabiu Ali tells us more.
Seated here are female parliamentarians speaking with one voice. The First Lady, represented by the wife of the Deputy Senate President, Lele Barrow, at the opening of the forum said, women remain underrepresented despite constituting more than half of the population across ECOWAS member states.
The administration of His Excellency, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, has recorded an increase in the number of women appointed to key leadership roles. including some who are the first women to hold such positions. This has in some ways compensated for the dwindling number of female representation in elective positions. The 10th Assembly is also working to pass the Reserved Seat Bill, championing the ongoing discourse to introduce gender quotas and other affirmative action measures to increase women's representation in governance.
Nothing justifies marginalization of women.
President of the ECOWAS Female Parliamentarians Association, Veronica Kadisise, commended Senator Oluremi Tinubu for her consistent support for gender parity initiatives, stressing the slogan, ECOFEPA, Action ECOWAS Women, Action Now.
As we look ahead, let us commit the sharing of the next 25 years of the ECOWAS Parliament as a chapter defined by broader participation, deeper inclusivity. These milestones frame our renewed commitment to gender equality and women's leadership in governance and conflict resolution.
The 25th anniversary celebration continues as ECOWAS female parliamentarians reaffirm commitment to pushing for stronger political inclusion for women across the region. Muhammad Rabiu Ali, NTA News.
Now, the Rivers State House of Assembly has passed a vote of confidence on President Bola Tinubu, urging him to seek re-election in 2027 for steering the affairs of the nation in the right direction. Nkiru Onyejesi reports that the motion was raised on the floor of the House at plenary. The report.
Other issues raised on the floor of the House worthy of commendation include appointments of notable sons of the state into federal offices and positions by the President, the unwavering commitment of the President to improve security challenges, among others. Sequel to this, members unanimously passed a vote of confidence on President Bola Ahmed Tinubu for providing purposeful leadership and steering the affairs of the nation in the right direction. Members pledged to begin mobilization of all state constituencies for the Renewed Hope agenda, irrespective of party affiliation.
As I speak to you today, as of the last count, we have about 37 sons and daughters of Rivers State who have been appointed into the administration of His Excellency Mr. President. Mr. Speaker, this is unprecedented.
His Excellency Bola Ahmed Tinubu is working hard to ensure that Nigeria moves in the right direction in different spheres of our country's life.
Speaker of the House, Martin Amehule, commended members for their oversight functions. He appreciated President Tinubu for the continuous improvement on the economy and how he handled the crisis in the state, assuring him of their unflinching support.
One major request we made to Mr. President that day had to do with the East-West Road. Prior to that time, it was almost difficult. I should just say the road was just impassable. So we begged the President, come to our aid. Mr. President said something to the University of that. He told us to go home, that we should consider it done.
The House has, however, adjourned plenary till a later date. In Port Harcourt, Nkiru Onyejesi, NTA News.
In another development, stakeholders on the Diversity, Equity and Inclusion Commission Bill converged on Ogun State House of Assembly to support and promote equitable representation, social justice and prohibit discrimination against the vulnerable groups across all sectors. This was at a public hearing of the bill sponsored by the Deputy Speaker of the House, Latifat Bolale Ajayi. Yemi Dalemo has more.
The bill seeks to entrench fairness, promote representation, and prohibit discrimination in all spheres, while ensuring that diversity, equity, and inclusion principles were infused into policy making and implementation using evidence-based approaches and evaluation mechanisms.
As the sponsor of this bill, I believe the Diversity, Equity and Inclusion Commission will serve as a platform for change where the voices of the heard, thereby promoting inclusive practice in governance and social life. As a chairman of the House Committee on Women Affairs, I recognize the importance of this bill, and in addressing the systematic inequality and basic that have long plagued our society, the EDL Commission will serve as a platform for change.
That every submission made here today will be meticulously considered towards ensuring that the final bill takes care of the interests of stakeholders.
Stakeholders, including representatives of the Joint National Association of People Living with Disabilities, Ogun State Disability Law Advocacy Group, Spinal Cord Injury Association, Justice Development and Peace Commission, among others, submitted inputs for inclusion in the bill.
It represents a landmark opportunity for Ogun State to demonstrate progressive leadership in advancing human rights, health and social justice.
We understand that the enactment of diversity, equity and inclusion law is an important step in tackling inequality and discrimination in Ogun State.
We are speaking for thousands of Ogun State citizens whose voice have been muted by systematic neglect, persons with disability who continue to suffer daily injustice despite valid, active and binding laws enacted for their protection 7 years ago.
The minority leader of the House, Lukman Adeleye, and the Ogun State Commissioner for Women Affairs and Social Development clarified that the DEI bill remained a top priority for both the legislative and executive arms.
DEI bill is very straightforward. It is talking about accessibility. It is talking about economic empowerment. It is talking about prohibition against discrimination, about everybody that has to do with vulnerability.
DEI bill doesn't have anything to do with the disability bill. One do not erode the other. The disability bill, as said, has been passed.
The stakeholders called for proactive engagement of the executive and legislative arms to ensure early assent of the bill, while recommending that the global DEI obligations referenced in the bill be clearly stated. In Abuja, Yemi Talimo, NTA News.
Concerns on proposed allocation for education security and loan to finance the budget estimates topped debates on Lagos State 2026 appropriation bill at a plenary of the House of Assembly. Musa Taliat reports that the appropriation bill has also scaled a second reading on the floor of the House.
After a 3-day retreat on the 2026 budget estimates laid before the House of Assembly by Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu, the order of the day at the plenary focuses on the 2026 appropriation bill.
It is a great honor and privilege to read for the second time a bill for a law to authorize the issuance and appropriation of a budget size of 4,237,107,009,308 naira for the year ending 31st December 2026.
Then, the Lagos lawmakers subjected the appropriation bill, tagged Budget of Shared Prosperity, to thorough scrutiny at the plenary.
We look at the deficit content of this budget, though it might look small, but from the retreat we had, we were told, frankly, that we are getting to the ceiling of borrowing. Must we all borrow all time to finance our budget? These are things that we need to ask ourselves.
There were some provisions in the budget that I feel if we did not handle, it will make them to come back for reordering. And reordering is what I feel is killing some MDAs in the state. For example, sir, grant of 55.25 billion for 2025 was provided for in 2026. This performed only 1%.
My concerns are about how the budget is funded, particularly where it says 73% or 78% of it will come from the IGR, knowing fully well that even the revenue targets that were given to some MDAs were not met in the last 2025 budget.
The money has to be made from IGR. However, my concern and my fear is the fact that
there's a new tax reform law that is coming into play. Have we considered those reforms vis-a-vis our internal generated revenue?
There's a sum there with respect to loan donor funding. Donor funding to Lamata, donor funding to Laswa. These monies were treated as capital receipts. Those are possibly loans. So technically, it has affected our deficit in the budget. So this must be looked at appropriately and classified appropriately.
Some lawmakers argue that the proposed allocation to education falls short of expectation, given the increased number of tertiary institutions in the state.
The educational sector, I'm not entirely so satisfied with these figures that I have seen in terms of the allocated funds of about 249 billion thereabouts.
I noticed the funding for Lagos, the Neighborhood Safety Corps, is exactly what was given in last year's budget. Yet we are recruiting. We are recruiting 2,500 people to join this force. Their capital access was less than 10%.
Therefore, our security apparatus must be duly funded in this year's 2026 budget.
The need to explore public-private partnership for infrastructural development was also raised.
We have to explore what we call public-private partnership strategies in the provision of the infrastructure and social services.
And what are we doing to make sure that our tourism sector thrives? What are we doing to make sure that we generate revenue from our tourism site?
Special funding for environmental protection and climate change mitigation was canvassed.
If we do not look at the environmental protection and say that the issue of the future for the unborn generation, what are we talking about the climate change?
To ask committee on economic planning and budget to report back in 5 weeks.
The Lagos House of Assembly thereafter adjourned Sinedai. In Lagos, Musa Tolian, NTA News.
And that report concludes parliamentary news for this evening. For more updates on this telecast and other programs, kindly follow NTA Parliament on the platforms scrolling on your screen. Thank you for watching. On behalf of the production crew, I am Amina Saidu. Bye for now.